When we talk about Helix Core Cloud, traditionally here on the left, you've always had to first start with our P4 administrator guide, Helix Core Server Administrator Guide. You had to read through the section of installing the server. What are the prerequisites? What do I do if it's Linux versus Windows versus Mac OS? What are all the things I need to know in order to get this thing up and running myself on my OS of choice? It is a challenging process, and we recognize that. And no matter how well we improve that documentation, it's still a very manual process. It's still a lot of double checking, a lot of permissions management, a lot of trial and error. And frankly, it's something that you all probably don't want to spend your time on, right? This is not the value add activity. Getting Helix Core installed efficiently and up and running so that you guys can go start on whatever game, television show, movie, digital twin, semiconductor project you're working on, you want to get started as fast as you can. Introducing Helix Core Cloud. So on the right. Now, this is aimed currently for teams 50 and under. That doesn't mean it's always going to be that way, but that is what our initial launch is. And so that's what's out there today. It is the same industry standard version control. So we didn't go off and build a whole new product. And if you're using Helix Core Cloud, you get this version of Helix Core. And if you're using the traditional version of Helix Core, you get this other version. That's not the way it works. It's the same version. So there's no difference in terms of functionality, other than the fact that Helix Core Cloud might just be on a newer version than what you're running yourselves or what you could be running yourselves. Again, it's turnkey. The whole point of this was to eliminate the headache in getting started. And it is near instant deployment. We say instant there, about somewhere between 5 to 15 minutes post sign up for us to automatically spin up a server for you. And it's very key to call it that this is single tenant. So this is not some run of the mill multi-tenant offering where we stick you on a server and you got to worry about noisy neighbors and what are other people doing and why does my performance today look worse than yesterday when I'm really doing the exact same things? That shouldn't be what your experience is because you are in your own isolated tenant. You are obscured from noisy neighbors because of that. And it is available in the Microsoft Azure Marketplace. And so the way you sign up for this, which we'll go through later, is to go through the Azure Marketplace. So that is introducing the basics of Helix Core Cloud. Let's talk a little bit more about it. Again, we talked about the fact that it is on the Microsoft Azure Marketplace. You can scan this QR code as a shortcut to get there. But again, it's turnkey like we talked about. It's a dedicated VM like we talked about. It is fully managed and hosted by us, Perforce. We make sure it's backed up. We make sure it's operationally running as we expect it to be. You no longer have to worry about any of that monitoring and performance and things like that. We take care of that for you. Again, upgrades, we take care of that as well. And you can now scale users up and down as needed. So you could say, hey, I'm a project-based company. I won a contract. I want a bid. I now need to scale up to 15 users for the next 5 months. Okay. After that project ends, I want to scale back down to 5 because we're just going to be working on some maintenance things, but the I don't need 15 people anymore because most of the work is done and now we're kind of moving into a maintenance mode. With traditional Helix Core, we've always only offered an annual subscription, in which case, in that scenario, you'd be saying, I want 15 users. And even though you may only be using them for the first 5 months, you are paying for them for the year. So this gives you that monthly flexibility that we've never offered before. In your plan, when you sign up, regardless of the number of users, you get 64 gigs of storage. Now you can add additional storage in after you sign up. And you can see the price there. It's 0.099 cents per gig. I will call it that this storage also includes a one-to-one SSD and it has backup as well. So when we say 64 gigs, we're backing up that entire 64 gigs as well. That's included in the price. And as you add more gigs, we are also backing the additional storage up as well. As far as egress is concerned or data out, when you're downloading information out of your tenant or out of Azure Cloud here, it does cost 0.089 cents per gig. uh, over the 64 that we include on a monthly basis. So think of storage as you get 64 gigs until you need to increase. And the way that Azure works based off the type of storage we're using, when you need to increase, you go from 64 to 128. You eventually go from 128 to 256, 256 to 512, just like that. Whereas with egress, you're actually doing this on a monthly basis and it resets. So think about the time in your life when you didn't actually have an unlimited cell phone plan and you had a data uh, quota and limit. And if you pass that limit, you would pay an overage fee. But then the next month, your bill resets or your allotment resets and you start all over again. That's exactly how egress works. So you can't pre-purchase additional egress. It's just 64 gigs. And as you go over per month, we charge you that overage 0.089 cents per gig. But then again, when your term resets, we just start that back to zero and off you go. All right. So what are some of the top benefits of Helix Core Cloud? I think I've hit this point a couple of times, but it's getting started, right? So Chris Madison from Every Realm was one of our early adopters, gave us this quote that we can use publicly, which is, we had everybody on the team up and running in an hour. That's fantastic. This is the goal of Helix Core Cloud. Take the complexity out of getting started, take any roadblocks of getting started out of the way, get you guys up and running, doing what you do best, which is versioning and building something, not trying to figure out how to deploy our product. Again, dedicated virtual machine. You can scale up and down users as needed. You have expertly pre-configured settings. So, who knows how to configure a Helix Core server better than Perforce? So we take that expertise, and that expertise is gained through support interactions over time, through our professional services team. We know exactly what we think are the best settings for teams that are using Helix Core in the cloud at a scale of about 50 users and under. And we apply those settings automatically for you. Again, professional grade reliability. We take care of the backups and the maintenance. And then we also make sure we upgrade you. So as new versions of Helix Core come out and we have verified that everything feels good, we will automatically upgrade you to that next version. And we'll talk a little bit about maintenance windows here in a second. So those are some of the highlights and benefits of Helix Core Cloud.